Greetings and salutations, my friend. Welcome to the fire. You know, a while back on a t-shirt, I read the words, "Being kind is a free action." And you know what? That is so very true. That's because you guys are effing terrible. r/RPG horror stories, posted by Klutzy-Ground-2645. Last week, we had a D&D session. We play almost every week, and we work with some kind of reward system. Every time we do something cool, impressive, or good role-playing, we get a reward, which we then can spend on something like a +1 to ability check, and if we have multiple, we can spend them on something else. Last week, our monk did something awesome, and I said that he deserved something cool. Our DM gave him a reward, and I said, "Oh, I barely remember those things. It's been like half a year since I seen those." My DM responded with a smirk. Yeah, that's because you guys are effing terrible players. I don't know, but that really bothered me. We're a small group of friends and have been playing for more than 2 years now. We mostly do combat and nothing else, since our DM is a really good mini painter and makes most of his terrains himself. Sometimes I try to resolve it in other means, like trying to persuade the opponents, or do something different like intimidation. Still, 9 times out of 10, it still resolves into combat, since we don't even have the opportunity to roll to even do something different. I stop using my spells for other things, since eventually everything is resolved on the battlefield, and the DM is very strict on player handbook rules, so the rule of cool is often just not applicable. We rarely have the time to roleplay, since all we have done for the last few months is combat, so I felt that it wasn't really fair to begin with. I even tried to do a couple of cool things, but mostly I felt it didn't match up to the standard that he was used to, so it was not worthy of a reward. Maybe this is just a rant, but that sentence really stuck to me and made me feel bad as a player, since I had the idea that I was a pretty good player who tried to do different things and actively roleplayed. I really dove into D&D when I first started, and I am always prepared, but having someone say that I'm bad is just not a good way to phrase it. I will try talking to my DM, since he is a really good friend of mine, but this for me was one of the most terrible things that he could say to me. You know what, OP? Your feelings are valid, because that is a pretty shitty thing to say, especially to a friend. I really hope that it was just the DM's attempt at humor that just bombed, but even then, that doesn't excuse it. OP and the rest of the players did not deserve that. Now, the whole constant combat thing. Yeah, I can see that as the DM putting in a lot of work into painting their miniatures and wants to make sure that it ends up being used. And to that, I say, sometimes things don't always go according to plan. And it's that unpredictability which is one of the fun things about TTRPGs. So, maybe use that miniature again sometime down the line for another encounter. Or have that NPC become a reoccurring villain or something. Hey, that's the fun of TTRPGs. The story is what you and everyone else makes of it. Now, that was a pretty short tale, so I'm going to throw one more story into the mix that's actually a review left at a local friendly game shop. Game shop owner gets 1-star review for throwing out a-hole. Owner responds, r/trashy, posted by I Hate Frosting. Tonight I came to Adventure Games, expecting to play D&D. It was my 3rd time joining a group of individuals I had come to like, and I always enjoyed our sessions. I chose to leave shortly after arriving, however, as the owner decided to shout at us and act as a child in front of his whole establishment about a conversation we had last week that he deemed inappropriate, making more than one patron feel quite uncomfortable, I am sure. He was gauche and didn't care to hear our side of the story, even though some of the group has been playing there for years without incident, and now they are no longer welcome. If that is the power of a review, then I hope this one stings, because neither I nor my friends will be frequenting your place of business any longer. And here's a response from the owner. You are correct. We did deem the conversation your D&D group had last week about beating up women and getting around a strip club's no-touch rule so you could assault those women as inappropriate. We have a strict no-tolerance policy about such matters, and both players who engaged in the conversation admitted they were in the wrong. Their actions were a clear violation of our store's code of conduct and the rules set forth by Wizards of the Coast, so there was no need for us to hear anyone else's side of the story. I'm sorry that reaction made you uncomfortable. Maybe you could begin to understand how the 13-year-old girl and her father felt when they were put in such an uncomfortable situation they got up and left during the middle of the session. We have continued to have problems with this group for several years, which I am guessing they forgot to mention to you. However, those problems pale in comparison to the horrible things that were said by not only the players in the group, but by the DM who is supposed to be leading the group and being responsible for the session. Since we work very hard to make our space one where everyone, especially women, feels safe and welcome, we feel it is in everyone's best interest that you and your friends do not return to our store. Ooh, wow. Wow. First of all, good on the store owner for enforcing store policy and making sure their place of business is a safe environment for their customers. Now, what the hell? You're in a public space, a space that apparently has children around. Do you really think that the topic of assaulting women was the proper thing to talk about in public with, once again, children around? And before anyone says, just relax, it's a game, and they were just joking around. Well, I sure do hope so, because it would be pretty concerning otherwise. So, what do you all think? Sound off with your comments. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And would you kindly follow the socials posted in the description below. As always, be good, be great, be awesome.